I recently had a profound realization about religion, especially concerning Christianity, since I once was a Christian. That realization is, in order to believe, in order for anyone to be a believer, there must first be a want to believe. People don't believe based on magical stories or any kind of tangible evidence. Jesus isn't going to appear in a flash of light or a ghostly manifestation and say, "Hey, I'm Jesus." Most Christians willingly admit this. Most religions will admit this as well. Christianity, Islam, Judaism, all will say, you have to have faith. Such beliefs do not necessarily require any evidence at all, but rather stress a hope, a desire, a want. Without the want, you are not likely to believe in any religion, or you might find yourself in the process of losing one. I know just how true this is firsthand. I remember how long it took for me to become a non-believer. It wasn't like a light switch that just flicked off. It took a few years. This is because I wanted it to be true. The more and more I researched honestly and with an open mind, the more the facts and reason began to imply how it is highly unlikely any of this stuff is reality. But I still wanted it to be true. Eventually the facts would firmly suggest how this is completely implausible in every way. But my want for it to be true still kept me hanging on, despite the facts. Once my desire changed from wanting to believe in Jesus to a wanting to know whatever is true, it is only then that my mind would allow and accept the facts and begin applying logic and reason, resulting in a swift and natural decline of my religious beliefs. I now can see clearly how every single Christian wants to believe in Jesus and nothing else. And this wanting produces a very interesting side effect. Believers will effectively block out, revise, and reinterpret information to support what they want to be true. This behavior is widely known, understood, and recognized psychologically as confirmational bias and cognitive dissonance. Pause on the video if you would like to read the full description of both. This is the standard uniform for most religious minds. As a result, a Christian is no more likely to convert a Muslim as a Muslim is no more likely to convert a Christian, and neither can understand how the other cannot see. A want to believe is a requirement for both of these religions, or you won't believe. It is the desire, the wanting, that puts these psychological principles into play. Since having this page and having discourse with many believers, I have found just how prevalent these psychological fortifications truly are. When speaking with a believer, the vast majority, if not all, are nearly incapable of registering what I am saying when I'm arguing a case. It almost seems like I am that Charlie Brown teacher going, wah, wah, wah. Also, when they are watching a video of mine, they seem to be at the same time repelling it, almost as if they are incapable of absorbing or really digesting any of the content. I almost always receive a comment about something I did not say, or a complete misrepresentation of something I did say. Oftentimes they will demand an answer from me on a counter-argument that I had already covered and explained in detail, as if they completely blacked out through several parts of the video. They will frequently fail to understand a theme or overall PowerPoints I am trying to establish. For a believer, my content and words are almost always distorted or mistranslated into what they want to believe I am saying. This is cognitive dissonance and confirmational bias at work. Every single believer seems to be bound by these mental bindings to some degree. Muslims, Christians, Hindus. It doesn't mean that Muslims or Christians are not intelligent people. Some are just as bright as university professors. It's just that this one area of discourse has been quarantined. It's protected. They are under the influence of these heavy psychological chains that protect their cherished beliefs from being attacked or weakened. And believers are likely to feel attacked or even become outraged when you do criticize these beliefs. I have had believers on multiple occasions rage on me. And many have even asked me why I hate Christians. You see, criticizing somebody's religion is likely to be translated as hateful. Opposition is not only intolerable for most believers, but it is hate speech. However, that is not my experience. I don't hate anybody. There's no hate in me. For me, opposition is healthy and good and even fun or entertaining. I have found that studying Christianity and applying criticism is fascinating. From my perspective, what I do is no different from someone like Rush Limbaugh, who criticizes or even insults Democrats every day, publicly. It doesn't mean Rush Limbaugh hates anybody. He just disagrees with and picks on your politics. Similar to myself. I just think your beliefs are unreasonable and wrong. But criticizing religion here in 2021 might get you burned at the stake. I mean that metaphorically, of course. But if you rewind the clock back a few hundred years, well, they really were burning naysayers at the stake, and maybe even recently in some remote Islamic places. If you dare to actively speak out, be prepared to lose friends or family. You are likely to be the one who is hated. Religion has always created conflict and division of this nature, not only between friends and families, but also cultures and nations worldwide. You see, if you're not a Christian, you're an outsider who is certainly bound for hell. Otherwise, what would be the point of missionaries and proselytizing? But the good news is that we are beginning to see a change. I have realized I am not alone. Many of you and people all around the world, especially our younger generations, are beginning to recognize the facts, the arguments, the debates, as they are made much more available in our pockets, our phones and tablets. And religion is consistently losing on the debate floor. In fact, Christians are becoming more and more afraid to engage. I can't find any believers who would spar with me in front of a live audience. They just disappear. I think they are frightened, probably because of a host of illogical fallacies, and they have no evidence. In fact, the evidence overwhelmingly suggests they are wrong. I wouldn't want to debate on their side either. My friends, we're out of the industrial age and now into the informational age. As a result, religion is plummeting in all modernizing states. This is normal. It's very organic. There is no conspiracy. Religion will not easily thrive in an environment where information, logic, and science are the cultural norms. Massive numbers of people are now challenging their mental chains. It is becoming more common and more frequent that a popular pastor steps up and says he no longer believes, or even famous worship leaders. When people want to know what is true rather than wanting to believe in Jesus, the belief is no longer plausible. This would not be occurring if the belief were even slightly reasonable or held any factual or logical merit. The religious teachers are very aware of this problem. Those who penned the New Testament and led the early church knew this well, as the New Testament repeatedly discourages its sheep from the wise, the scientists, the thinkers. They were the enemy. Once the Christian church had secured its place as the official Roman religion, Christianity attacked the Alexandrian library, destroying scientific progress. If it wasn't for Christianity and Islam, we would likely be about 1,000 years ahead technologically right now. The Christian church persecuted scientists. Christians murdered some of our greatest thinkers in cold blood for practicing science, calling it blasphemy. Men who had discovered the circumference of the earth, great mathematicians, were shut down and threatened with death if they didn't recant their discoveries, such as Galileo. The church effectively plunged our world into the long and dreadful Dark Ages, until secularism would finally rise again thousands of years later. Secularism freed and improved humanity around the world, and it still has a lot of work to do. Unfortunately, secularism is still the enemy to many Christians. The institutions of secularism that practice science, liberated women and freed slaves, cares for and heals people all around the world, is still the enemy. You see, religion will never easily or comfortably carry forward with advancements in science. This will always result in faith being emphasized and central to one's belief, and even deemed as a virtue. Faith is the cattle call for most of these religions. Whether it is Islam or Christianity, you must exercise faith. But having faith in something doesn't make it true, does it? It just means you have a hope, a want, for a God who loves you personally, hears you, who will bless your life, not only here, but in the next life. Heaven will be waiting for you. Christianity and Islam also utilize fear. You might be scared. People are going to burn in hell. The road to life is narrow. If you don't believe, you're doomed. In fact, many Christians will believe just in case, kind of like an insurance plan for your soul. If they are wrong, they have nothing to lose. Muslims practice this exact same faith. Funny thing is, they both can't be right, but they both can be wrong. Once I had effectively broke the chains and my mind became open and wanting to know what is true, the reality about religion became more clear and obvious. I have often referred to this as my great awakening. My eyes opened. I escaped the powerful mental chains going all the way back to my childhood. And I know many of you know what I am talking about. This feeling of realization is very profound. A lot of us want to share this exciting experience with friends and family, but soon find out they are shunned or even disowned by doing so. You might even find yourself out on your butt or out of a job. I have heard all of these stories. Some folks have even been disowned by parents. One of you who follows this page is in this situation now. But you will feel great and have a new love for life. You might realize how all of your friends, perhaps even some of your own children, won't be burning in hell. And you don't need to run around proselytizing, being a door-to-door salesman for the God of this universe. There are hundreds of positive feelings once you embrace an honest search for truth. You begin to realize you didn't lose anything at all. Many will not even lose a concept of God at all. They have just stripped the man-made titles, and God becomes bigger and more encompassing. You didn't lose hope. You didn't lose joy. In fact, quite the opposite. You have gained. You've gained a new appreciation for life. Some have expressed moral improvements and an overwhelming feeling of being accountable for their actions, loving even more and bigger. This was definitely my experience. All of the character flaws I maintained as a Christian became cleaned up as I now realized I really am responsible for how I treat people and my actions. There is no scapegoating. Integrity and virtue became even more important in my life. Making right my wrongs became vital to my growth. Christianity had made me morally lazy. This is exactly what the Jews have been saying about the dangers of Christianity for hundreds of years now. Well, those notorious Jews, they were right. You might even find yourself really enjoying the mysteries of life, the exciting search for and discovery of what this universe is, consciousness, the fabric of space. Who are we? What are we? You are now likely much more interested. You're like a brand new being in a wide and mysterious world. A child again. My new favorite pastime is a conquest for truth, with no chains. I am completely open-minded to whatever is true, to wherever the compass points. None of this would be possible under the influence of a religion. Unless, of course, that religion, without the want, proved to be true. I am even open to this idea. All is fair game. So far, as I continue my investigation into Christianity, I cannot find anything even remotely feasible. But, hey, I'm always willing and ready to be convinced or stand corrected. But I will not be easily fooled again. Stay strong and wise, my friend.